Everyone thought the village tailor was selfish until he died and the truth came out. What if the one you judged was the one silently saving lives? This heartwarming animated story will change how you see kindness and remind you that not all heroes shout. Watch the full story of Tela, the quiet giver. Subscribe to our channel for more interesting African animated stories that touch the heart and spark the mind. In a quiet little village nestled between green hills, there lived an old man named Tela. Tela was the only tailor for miles around. He loved what he did. His tiny shop, cluttered with colorful fabrics and the gentle hum of his sewing machine, was a place where clothes were more than just cloth, they were memories stitched with love. Tela wasn't just a tailor, he was part of every villager's story. For weddings, naming ceremonies, and even funerals, his hands worked magic. He charged little, and he asked for less. Often, if someone couldn't pay, he simply smiled and said, "Pay when you can." To him, kindness was a silent act, not a show. But not everyone saw it that way. One morning, as Tela walked through the village square, a man named Misjudgment, known more for his mouth than his manners, approached him with a sneer. "You're the richest man in this village," he said, "but what have you ever given to the poor? The butcher gives out free meat every day. You hoard your money like a greedy lizard." Tela, calm and soft-spoken, simply replied, "God sees the heart. We all give in our own way. But words, once spoken with bitterness, have a way of spreading." Misjudgment's whispers turned into rumors. The villagers began to look at Tela differently, some with suspicion, others with judgment. They stopped waving. They stopped visiting. Even the children who once played near his shop now stayed away. As the days passed, Tela grew quieter. He sat alone, watching the world from his window. He never defended himself. He never explained. He simply continued sewing, and every month, he took a pouch of coins, placed it in an envelope marked "Butcher," and made a quiet note in his ledger. But life, like thread, sometimes frays. Tela was ill. One cold night, Tela's coughing grew worse. He slept, and never stood again. The next morning, the village bell rang slowly. Tela had passed away. And still, not a soul came to his door. Not one neighbor knocked. The man they once called Uncle Tela was now just the stingy tailor who died alone. A month passed. At the butcher's stall, the usual line of villagers gathered, waiting for the daily gift of free meat. But on that day, the butcher stood with empty hands and sorrow in his eyes. "There's no free meat today," he said. When they asked why, he sighed deeply and said, "It wasn't from me. Tela gave me money every month. He asked me to keep it quiet. Said it wasn't about being seen, it was about doing good. But now that he's gone, there's no more money." A heavy silence fell over the crowd. Eyes widened. Mouths dropped open. Misjudgment stepped back, stunned. And slowly, guilt settled over the village like a thick cloud. They had judged the man who fed them in secret. They had turned away from the one who gave quietly. That evening, they gathered at Tela's shop. They placed candles and flowers by the door. Children laid little pieces of cloth and old shirts, stitched by his hands. And on the wall, someone hung a new sign that read, "Tela, the quiet giver." From that day forward, the village remembered him not for what they thought he didn't give, but for what he gave without telling anyone. Sometimes, the greatest kindness is the one done in silence. And sometimes, the loudest love is the one that never needs applause. So before you judge a person, remember, everyone has a story you don't know. Everyone gives in ways you may never see. The end. Don't forget to subscribe for more and see you in the next video.